Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Analytics Mindset. In this specific video, I will go through some of my experience taking the Generative AI Leader certification by Google Cloud. Something to know is that Google Cloud offers two different kinds of certifications, Google in general. The Google Cloud certifications are, as I described in my Cloud Digital Leader, focused on Google Cloud. You have multiple of them, not as many as Microsoft. Interesting enough, there's only two at the foundational level, but it's Google. Um, you also have the career certificates. The career certificates are a little bit different. In my experience, they are more for developing skills and actually trying to get your job. While these ones are more to boost your career. In this case, this is a foundational certification. But without further ado, let's start with this. If you're trying to get that certification, then this video is for you. And I hope you enjoy it because I myself could not find a lot of videos of these certifications. There is also a very new certification. It got out in May. If you decide to get it, you're going to be one of the first ones most likely to get it as well. If you can see here, this is the actual badge that Google will issue to you once you pass the certification. It is the GenAI Leader Google Cloud Certified, and this is a very brief overview of the certification. We won't go into it because we actually are going to go into both study guide and the rest of the content because I think that's going to be a lot more useful to you than just this very brief overview on it. In the foundational level, you have these skills here. It is a 50-60 multiple choice proctor exam. You won't know that, as a lot of these exams, you will only know when you actually sit there and pass the proctoring. You will be as well. I have 53 questions. I have 55 questions. You will know. You won't know before it. You have a path that we will go through that should be enough to pass this certification. As I said before, I found it very interesting that there was not a lot of videos there were not a lot of videos or any content in the internet, being honest. There was some, most of it was actually just AI generated, funny enough. Certification over Gen AI had a lot of Gen AI content all over the place created for it. And this is where you can see certification ID. You can actually search me if you want incredibly, and you can see, oh yeah, this person passed the exam. So that is always nice to have. When you also pass this, Credly would put you into its directory, search directory. This is not really as useful as they make it sound, but you get the point. You are shown, you are mentioned that you have experience on this skill on this platform, and you can just let hiring managers know about it as well. Now, going into the actual material, before you actually get that, you need to pass the exam. The exam here is a very similar description. It is obviously based on GenAI. It has a lot of GenAI specific content. And these are the four main areas: fundamentals of GenAI, Google Cloud's GenAI offerings, techniques to improve GenAI model output, and business strategies for a successful GenAI solution. You will have this for 3 years. That's something different to compared to Microsoft certifications. The foundation certifications of Microsoft do not expire. This one does expire. You will need to take a new exam 3 years after you take the certification. It's going to be $99 for the actual registration fee, and it's going to be 90 minutes as well. You can take it online proctorate or on-site proctorate. The difference is if you are online proctorate like me, you will need to basically set up your own space and go through this hassle of protect your area, be able to make sure that nobody's around. While on-site proctorate means you go somewhere and you do what you will do in other exams. You just put all your stuff somewhere, forget about it, and then you come back and you have cameras and people watching you all the time. I would have preferred on-site proctorate for a lot of reasons. Mostly because it is very difficult for me to set up the space, that you need to have an empty space with nothing there, etc. But unfortunately, the only place that I could take on-site proctorate did not have the hours that I could go. It literally was while I was working, and that for obvious reasons was not gonna work. But there is an option though, if you want to. You should only prepare for the exam with the study guide and this learning pad. I said this before. For all certifications, other exams, there is a lot, and I mean this like a lot of content there paid to Microsoft. I think we have gone before it has a lot of certifications where they offer these partner websites and they will have a class, but usually that means $1,000. More than that, that's catered to companies that can pay it usually. So if you're an individual, unless you really feel you thrive on that environment where you have somebody actually walking you through the material and you have a lot of money to spend because it's not cheap, I will recommend you to just stick to the free stuff because that should be more than enough for you to pass. Now, there's some sample questions we will see that at the end because you need to log in with your Google account. It's not the same as Microsoft where you can just take a preliminary version in the website itself. You actually need to go into Google Form because it's Google, obviously, and sometimes Google makes very, very low accessibility decisions. Final scheduling exam. You will need to schedule exam through Pearson. You will take it through Lockdown Browser. I did have Lockdown Browser when I was in school and took Proctor exam. So for me, it was actually way more intuitive than the other browsers that Microsoft usually uses as well. But yeah, that is pretty much it for it. As you can see, there is certification prep webinars. You can also use Google Cloud. Should help a lot. And with that, the next step is the actual study guide. The study guide has a high level overview of the content. I will go to the actual um, parts of the path as I go through this. But as you can see, you want to have the information of GenAI to transform and use within business. You can use it to conversations. You can describe how Google uses AI. And the first section is the fundamentals of GenAI. You can see it here. There is 5 sections. This is the actual free path that you can take. As you can see, it was updated 2 months because it is a very new certification. You have beyond the chatbot, foundational concepts, GenAI navigating the landscape, GenAI APIs, and AI agents. You will need to describe the core GenAI concepts, then machine learning approaches, foundation models, what GenAI can do, what it cannot do, label and unlabeled data, what are the different parts of GenAI? As you can see here, these are the parts of GenAI, and identify the foundation models for Google. For the section 2, you will see the actual GenAI offers. You can see here Google's GenAI approach, enterprise-ready platforms, Google's open approach, so how they actually open it to other options, and TPUs are a big part of actually this exam. I wasn't expecting that. There is a lot of more infrastructure in this exam that I would actually have expected, honestly. Microsoft has the Microsoft not AI fundamentals. Amazon also has, and AWS, most specifically not Amazon, has a AI fundamental certifications, but those certifications are just AI. They are not GenAI specific. And yes, there is a lot of contrast and a lot of discussion. Is this really needed? Is it not really needed? Who knows? Things may change 1 year or 5 years from now. I took it because it really overlapped with my skill set. It is there. I do have experience with Google Cloud. It was easy for me to take the certifications. I'm not gonna lie. It was very easy. Um, I do not use GenAI at work as much as other people probably because a lot of my emails are very brief and very concise, so there is not really a lot of value for me to use in email editing. That is the main part of what I have seen people use. And also code-wise, a lot of my data is very, very confidential. I could only fit it to our internal chatbot, and even then, it is very limited. Again, different use cases. But this, at least I can say that this has helped me abstracting more problems. I don't need to give AI a specific scenario, and even I don't need to give it AI a general problem that I'm facing. For me, it's more what resources can I get here? What are some kind of alternatives for this code that I could use instead of I have this? Give me all the code by myself right now. I don't do that because again, a lot of my data is awfully confidential. I cannot do that, and even then, for me at least, it takes less time to just do it myself than ask an AI and wait for it for a very long time. With that being said, you will go into the AI ecosystem, you will go into the benefits of using Google Cloud instead of other providers, and also there's quite a bit of business strategy to here and there sprinkle. Then you will go into how to empower developers with AI. You have AI, different models of Gen AI. You have Model Garden, Vertex AI, Search, AutoML, and RAG. You have RAG is very important too. Vertex AI agent. You can build custom agents. You can build custom stack. You can do a lot of things. Although, honestly, and I had actually this coming up at work, you may not be able to do as much as you think you can because a lot of these things, you need connections, API connections to data in order to automate a lot of stuff. If your employer is anything like mine, you need permission for almost anything. You may have some issues with that, and that limits a lot AI's access and usability when all your processes, yes, you can do this, but you need to download all of this and you need to feed it to the agent. Then the agent spits out something you need to upload it to, and you are gonna be asking yourself why I didn't just do this manually. Unfortunately, that's how the world is. AI doesn't have a lot of the accesses that the vendors, Google is one of them, would assume you to have. Connect to this system, connect to this, connect to that, and then you realize, wait, my employer blocks this, or not even your employer. The vendor uses this. The vendor is like the vendor of the system you're trying to connect. It's like, no, you cannot connect this to us. So no, that's it. No. It's different ecosystems. If you work in pure tech, you may not have that issue. If you work like me in another employer that its primary business is not tech, then yes, you most likely will have that issue. Use cases, functionality of Vertex AI and RAG. Then you go into GenAI agents. How do you create agents? How you they have plugins. They try. They get extensions, they get functions, they can access data from other sites. You can also use when do you use Vertex AI Studio and when do you use Google AI Studio? Short answer, Google AI Studio is a lot more front end ChatGPT-esque, while Vertex AI Studio allows you to modify a lot of more parameters, be able to determine where it's going through, showing you the chain of thought, showing you all these values. Maybe you want to make your model less random, less stochastic, and more deterministic. You can actually do that in the temperature, etc. Well, AI Studio is more similar to ChatGPT or other agents that you may have over there, where you don't have access to the model and it's just more transparent to the final user. You will going to improve Gen AI model output. This is the part that I found the most useful here, honestly. I have seen a trend, especially I guess in my generation and younger, where people will trust too much on AIs. On Gen AIs, you should not. It's not your friend. It is a machine. It is a machine, and it will take your data and train on it, and just especially if it's just the general version of ChatGPT or other agents or Gemini. It will just take your data and train on it. It's not your psychologist, it's not your psychiatrist. You should be careful. You should always double check the output of AI. Please do not trust, and this is again as somebody that got certified on this thing, you should not trust AI. You should always have a critical mind when reading its output, when following its recommendations. You should always ask, hey, how did you get this recommendation? You should not trust AI with a lot of things. That's, I guess, more of my personal opinion, but I have seen too many people trusting too much on Gen AI. It's not your friend again. It is just a machine. It is a very, very complicated probabilistic model based on patterns of language recognition and natural language processing. It is not your friend. It is a good way to search. It is a good way to synthesize stuff. It is a good way to do your initial discovery of things. It is not a reliable source of information. It is not a lot of things. But yeah, that's more of my personal take on that. Then you have limitations of foundation models. So knowledge cutoff is a very important one when was your model last updated with data because guess what? A Gen AI cannot be trained on everything all at once all the time. There is a certain delay. Some especially recent events is not going to be as reliable as most regular. If you ask what were the consequences of World War II, give me a list of countries that were devastated, it is going to have a lot more precision because literature on World War II is so humongous and so readily available versus tell me what event happened today on July 6, 2025. Let's say that a historic event happens later today. Tell me what happened. It probably will not know. It will hallucinate. It will do very things. So that's where things come into it. Google calls it human in the loop. That is the actual term for it. You should always review the generic output. You should not trust on it. You should review it before you do anything. RAG, problem engineering, we already talked about RAG, grounding, very important. You can connect to an external data source that you use, a data source that you own, and actually have AI, Gen AI, just pulled from that, not pulled from anything else, and that allows to control hallucinations. Prompt engineering is important. You will need some certain prompt engineering techniques. Fine tuning is also important. And finally, the Google recommendations is how do you upgrade your model? How do you use KPIs, security patches, versioning, performance hacking, drift monitoring when the model just goes somewhere else that shouldn't go and you need to retrain it. And the Vertex AI feature store has a lot of other stuff to do. Prompt engineering, this is a very popular topic. The more specific you are with AI, the better. The more concise also helps. The better grammar you also have helps because it's trained. It tries to make sense of things, especially English versus other languages. It's going to have astronomical better capabilities in English. I'll tell you that as somebody that has trained other languages. Um, Gen AI is trained in English. The bigger corpus you have available, the better. It is just so much better in English than other languages, and it's going to stay like that forever. Being honest, people like to um, emphasize singularity and all these things, but GNI still makes very silly and small mistakes, and actually it's kind of regressing now with the more data being fed and the more AI generated content that gets fed into AI is like this self-fulfilled prophecy that we keep hyping AI, but now things are being generated by AI and they're in the internet, and then you use that to train the next generation of models of AI, and they become worse than before because they are just learning from their own patterns. Reinforcement learning, unfortunately. Will it get better? Maybe, maybe not. There is a big trade-off of do you exclude this data? Do you not exclude this data? If you do, how? The common data engineering and data analytics questions that we have seen in the past. And again, that's where the actual what should I include question comes into place. That's where the human component comes into place. GenAI is not gonna become the singularity anytime soon. You never know the future, maybe 10, 20 years from now. Yeah. For now, it's just a very, very, very elegant autocomplete form. That is what all of this is at the end of the day. But again, who knows? Maybe it will prove me wrong. Not in the next 10 years, I expect. Definitely not in the next five. I can see that. I can say that for sure. It will be used as an excuse. I'll say that. It will be used as an excuse for other things. But this is a basic foundational certification. Something that you may ask you, whoever is telling you that is, how do you know that? Have you actually read on this? Have you actually, this is again Google's actual documentation in AI, the AI, and there is not a lot being honest, a lot of training available there. There is, you can get a PhD in natural language processing that goes into LLMs a lot, into large language models and transformers, architectures, and all. That's how you know you are in process of an authority in Gen AI, not just a random person telling you this is what's going to happen. Or for that matter, an executive that just comes to you and say, "Can we do this with AI?" Again, even this credential is just very basic, but that shows at least some level of authority. Hey, I spent 4 to 5 hours learning about the basics of Gen AI. But without going to doctorates, there is master's courses on it, there is postgraduate courses that go very deep into natural language processing, into the technical details that I wouldn't be able to describe you at very, very deep understanding, and that's the actual understanding of this topic. Zero shot, one shot, few shot, role prompting, and prompt chaining are very powerful techniques, especially these two, where you ask AI to have a role. Again, this is where a lot of people say, hey, act as you are this person, and reply to me on this. Prompt training is when you chain multiple prompts and say, you continue from the previous one, do this, and that. You have the chain of thought. You go more into one prompt versus another one, and show me your thought process, and then the React programming. You get this, then you act through that, then you go back, and then you react to that again. We talked about grounding. You can use your own enterprise data, third-party data, and world data. You can say to GenAI, how can you use RAG to do this? How can you do these three versions? You can ground Google search too. That's something that Google right now offers. And how do you use sampling patterns, token temperature, talking calmly about temperature again, we talked about temperature, top P, safety settings, and the output length. How long do you want your output to be? The last part of the exam is business strategies. What solutions can we use? What kind of services can we use to fulfill this? What kind of integration do we need this? And what measures and how do we measure the impact of AI? The Google Secure AI framework is mentioned here and there. It is not very robust, but it's there. It at least it's a guidance if you need to implement GenAI from scratch and you're like, hey, we need to secure this data. We need to do this. Identity and access management is very important. It is something that you can use with your Google Cloud permissions, the security command center, and work monitoring tools. And finally, what considerations you have with strategy, the importance of responsible AI transparency. Hey, we should not discriminate against these people with this AI model. We should not make any decisions, for example, with this AI model that discriminates against these specific parts of people. Yes, because its training data was created on that. You can describe privacy considerations. You can describe the data quality, bias and fairness implications, and finally accountability and how do you explain this to other people. That is the study guide. Let's go really quickly through the actual path. Beyond the chatbot is the first part of the path. You will get this nice competition badge. So Google Cloud kind of gamify, similar to Microsoft. Microsoft Learn will have an experience bar, and you level up every single time you finish enough experience. Google Cloud is a little bit different. It goes into, hey, you got this nice batch here, you got this other nice batch here, you got this other very nice batch here, etc. Um, it just helps you, I guess, getting more familiar with it and just going along with it. Again, nothing very big, but it's something. It is a recognition. I'll take it. I mean, why not? Better than waiting until the final batch and when you pass exam. I will take it. In contrast, as you can see here, there is the Generative Foundation strategy, there's other cost resources, etc. My comparison with the Google Cloud Data Leader is that the Google Cloud Data Leader was all videos. Everything was a video. Literally, like the whole path was just videos. You can see here, this is not the case here. It has a lot more graphics, a lot more text here and there. It's not really text. It is like a paragraph, then there's a huge break of an infographic, then another paragraph, then an actual video, then more text, just a paragraph again, not a lot. Then another video, then you have another graph. Very interesting for sure. It is a very interesting the decision they took. I think I read somewhere, don't quote me on this, but I read somewhere that the reason is because this course is also kind of AI generated. That is how Google was able to get it so quickly. Um, Nothing against that, I guess, fully. It is a nice course. It is to some degree useful for a very fun foundational course, but you could tell that the other one had a higher budget. You could tell that the actual human employees from Google that created the Google Cloud Data Leader had a lot more time dedication, time commitment than this very short, and I'll actually just run this. This is basically what the videos are. It's a 1 minute to maybe two. I think the longest I saw was 4 minutes. It is very small. You can see here they are talking. They actually do some of the explanation. Um, but the other one was all videos. You will have a quiz at the end, yes. But again, you could see 16-minute video, 20-minute videos. Again, it is, and especially as a YouTuber. um, the time commitment of recording a video and also needed to actually just write your script and then actually record it and then do all the whole video editing. I can tell that they put a lot more effort on the Google Cloud Data Leader than in this certification. Yes, they curated it, they made it fun, I guess, to some degree with Google's design. I guess they call it Material 3 now, if I'm correct. It's an evolution of material design. But again, there is just a lot less content that you will have in the other certification. Nothing bad or good with it, it's just a different format. I would say the other one was easier for me because I could just see in the background, I could just hear the videos in the background. That helped me do a lot of stuff. And while I was hearing through it, well, this one it forces you to pay more attention. It forces you to read more through it. Not even that. It forces you to just interact with a lot of the graphs. Each their own, different approaches. But if you like videos, that is a consideration to have. You will have a lot less videos here. You have unlocked foundational concepts. You will get into the second course. It's another hour. You will get another batch here. You get into the core concepts. What is a foundation model? AI security and responsible. Navigating the GenAI landscape, you will get into how you work and interact with GenAI, how humans should interact with it, what are GenAI agents and applications. There is quite a bit of focus on agents, actually. Platform infrastructure, and what is the landscape. The next two are more towards work related. How do you transform things with the GenAI apps and the GenAI agents? They are very similar to each other. On the apps, you will have productivity, prompting GenAI apps, and Gemini for Google Cloud is a big focus here. You will also have Gemini for Google Workplace. How can you reduce prompts? How do you use grounding, notebook, LM, and Google Gemini for Google Cloud, as I mentioned before. And finally, on the transform your organization, you will go into how organizations can use custom agents on specific business challenges. You will use different things, such as how you do what is a modern agent versus what they call a traditional agent that is more of these chatbots that will just follow a complex decision tree based on what you actually answer them. Think about like your very old bank teller that says, do you want to deposit or withdraw? And you will need to press one of the two. There is only two options. There is not a lot more. That is a very easy to understand concept on traditional agents. They only have some options here and there. And then you have enhancing the customer experience with agents, building agents. It goes a lot in depth into how do you enhance this, how do you build your applications, and how can you search agents, customer engagement, and build your own agent. Time commitment. Going back to the overview of the path, you can see here they are not very long courses. Most of them are an hour, a little bit more than an hour. This one is 90 minutes. GenAI agents is the longest. It's the longest because it includes a lot more customer service slash automation slash how do you empower your customer service representatives compared to other paths. So you will have a lot more content there. At 2 hours and 50 minutes. Not a lot compared, but still. GenAI apps follows, not that far away, with 1 hour and 45 minutes. Both of them are more implementations of GenAI than anything else. They are not really a lot on. These three are more in theory. Hey, this is how things are right now and how they look for. And these two are, hey, these are actual implementations of these systems. But with that being said, the final part is the GenAI little sample questions. You will need a Google account for this, and you will need to be able to use this in the next step. I won't show it because it's going to make a whole process for my Google account, and then I just don't want to. I already did it once, it was cumbersome. But it is just a little bit, everybody has a Google account at this point. It is just a little bit more cumbersome and annoying than it would be otherwise if you just went ahead and tell me, hey, like Microsoft, the website itself, you can take your exam practice test here and we will give you the results there. For me, that's a lot less cumbersome, but that's just me. All right, my last comment here is that this is a foundational certification. So what's next? Again, Google Cloud doesn't really have that many certifications compared to other people, other companies like Microsoft or AWS. But once you take these two, if you pass these two like me and you're certified on the two of them, then it's a lot left in the foundation layer. Like, there is nothing at the foundational certification, just being honest. You can go to the associate certification. That will be the first one. How do you, but for this, you need to have experience deploying cloud applications and monitoring operations and experience managing the cloud enterprise solutions. You are expected to have experience. It's a lot more comprehensive, a lot more of a time commitment. That would be the next step. And then you have professional. Obviously, a lot more in depth onto that. But yeah, with that being said, if you are thinking of taking the certification, all for it. Besides the cost of $99, as I mentioned before, you can get a new certification to your resume. Maybe you're looking for a career change. In that case, it's always a nice. Everybody has this education, everybody has this experience. You got this GenAI certification. It's a nice plus, even if it doesn't seem like it. Or you may be looking for a promotion. You may be looking for a job change. That's also something very not valuable, being honest, but for the time commitment, it is not as intensive as it will be for other programs, trainings, etc. And you can just do it on your own time. That's the best part of this. You can develop yourself at your own time and your own pace. But yeah, if you're looking to for that or just to learn more about Gen AI, that being honest is probably 60% of the reason why I took this, besides being familiar with Google Cloud, feel free to tell me. Give me any feedback. Do you think I miss anything on this course? And yeah, happy learning. And if you decide to get this certification, I hope you get it. Thank you. Bye bye.